Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Karibu, welcome. We are on the very special day. We're celebrating Afrika Ukombozi Siku. So thank you to the young hands of energetic vibration that focused our attention with the profound spirit, energizing and vibration of the drum. We're thankful for that. But yes, this is Afrika Ukombozi Siku. It's otherwise known as Afrika Liberation Day, the day that was established by the Organization of African Unity in the 1960s on sacred African soil, as the progressive leaders of the day got together to address the nationhood and unification of a whole continent. And that included discussions around the diaspora, this oneness of people that are the primary people of creation. So it's very well documented, so we're not going to stay too much on that. And this is rather a brief message. We're not able to go live stream direct, so this will be a live recording that will be published on the channel, the YouTube channel, www.u-ran.org, to pick up the link and see this when it's posted. So what we are going to talk about is the idea of liberation. It is Afrika Liberation Day, and oftentimes we see popular initiatives or initiatives that are popularized out there where the liberation element is taken out for it to become Africa Day. That liberation component is vital because it is mission compelling. It drives action. It drives the thrust of what it is that African souls ought to be in the process of, which brings us to the focus of what I want to share and to emphasize is that liberation is indeed a process. It is not something static, and it is an ongoing life endeavor, an ongoing process, generation to generation. And in this annual cycle where it is a living observance, it is this time of year. It's not an event, it's a cultural observance, a spiritual and cultural observance. So no matter whether we go to an event over here or we go to an event over there or there is no event to go to, it is still that time of year. It is still Afrika Ukombozi Siku. So we can't go to Afrika Ukombozi Siku or Afrika Liberation Day. It's not something to go to. We can go to an event that celebrates the time, but we can't go to the observance itself because the observance just is. That's how important this day, this time period is for African souls. It's very important to know. We're not an unrooted people. We are profoundly rooted. And in restoring ourselves and reclaiming ourselves, we reclaim that rootedness and that firm fixture in our own way of life. Organically so. And this is powerful and wonderful to know. So each year, the Universal Royal African Nation has activity through spiritual and cultural practice, as well as other expressions. And unlike some of the other observances on the annual cycle or the annual calendar cycle, these activities or the celebratory time is actually on the day itself. So oftentimes you'll see on the cultural calendar where gatherings or events or activities will take place on the nearest weekend or a nearest convenient date. Afrika Ukombozi Siku is actually on the 25th of May. That's where it's cited. So we hold that as thrust in what we do. And there may be celebrations out there in the wider world as Africans throughout the world continue to honor this special time around the actual day itself, if not the day. As I said, it is a process, and it is a process of engagement. It is a process that is necessarily structured. It is a process that is necessarily ordered. And the best expression of how it can be used and served and as a service to our people is for African souls to be part of a structured organ that holds observances like this in deep regard at the observance level of living. Now, as a process, it has its requirements, and its most valuable requirement is the African self as liberator, because the process of liberation cannot exist without its key component of the liberator self. So that is what African souls nurture, cultivate, and develop themselves to fulfill in order then to engage in the process of liberation. The liberator engages in liberation. But it doesn't stop there. And it's not static. It's not isolated. It's not detached. It is an engaging process of ascension for victorious result. And that victorious result is the successful attainment of liberty and nationhood. So the liberator plus the engagement in the process of liberation gives us the victorious outcome of liberty and nationhood. It's simple math. It's simple logic. It's simple to conceive, yet a challenge to implement, and still a challenge that Africans can engage in and rise, elevate themselves to that challenge and make victory a reality. Make that victorious outcome real. This is the logical formulation of just basic thought. And of course, as with other spheres of African life, other special times in African life, it is energized with spiritual and cultural practice. And that's what we do here. But because it's an observance, we can do that where we are. And if we happen to be in a time or space such as what has unfolded in recent months with quote unquote lockdown, it means that wherever we are, we can engage in that process. We can learn more. We can have relevant practice in our homes if need be, in communal spaces where possible, or otherwise. Because it just is that time. And of course, then when we go to any communal gatherings on a larger scale, we bring that energy with us. We bring that knowingness with us. And the process is amplified. Still ordered, still structured, still with purpose. And if the process is amplified, so too then is the victorious outcome, the victorious result. So this is important, basic thought, just to highlight this very special time. And I'd also like to point out that you can get material on it. This particular text is available from Afrika to Afrika Ukombozi Siku. Highly recommended. Also, the readily accessible form of ASBOT is always highly recommended. Whether you are already a practitioner of regional tradition, or whether you have no existing practice, it is engagement in a spiritual way that is accessible for African souls throughout the globe, wherever we happen to be, that does not negate existing tradition, but allows that oneness of thrust that is in tune with global cultural practice that is shared from continent to continent, region to region, in a basic framework. And of course, it's an acronym for African spirituality by way of Kwanzaa. So this very brief message is to highlight that basic logic, and also to wish African souls throughout the world a wonderful day, to energize, to enliven that liberator self in the engagement of the liberation process for victorious result. So I'd like to thank ones and ones that have been supporting the thrust of the Universal Royal African Nation, have been or are a part of the Universal Royal African Nation and its continual thrust of liberty and ascension throughout the year, throughout the annual cycle, to achieve, maintain, secure our own self-determined liberty and nationhood. So again, Asante Sana, thanks much. And we shall surely be able to converse at another time and potentially not so far away. So with that, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty. Oh, books escaping. Divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth.